Hello and welcome to F1 2019. Now, when I make videos, I usually don't show the career mode of a game. The reason for this is because you can just go and get the game and play it yourself, or watch someone else on YouTube play the career mode. I tend to do challenges that I've made up myself. I just find them to be more fun, and more fun to watch as well for videos. However, this video is different because I've actually played the career mode on F1 2019. It's something I tend to do in my spare time. However, I recorded a race at Suzuka that I was starting at the back of the grid. I didn't intend to record it, however, as the race got better and better, I started recording from my point of view. But yeah, I was starting at the back of the grid. I had an engine penalty in my Mclaren. I was thinking that I wouldn't get that far up the grid. I'll just show up on screen now what my car performance looks like in my career mode currently. In Season 2 of the game, obviously it's Suzuka, so I'm quite a way through the game. So the car performance has changed quite a bit. Mercedes have moved down, Ferrari, Red Bull have all moved down. And I've managed to get McLaren up to the top 3. So yeah, I was not really expecting too much. I was hoping to at least get 9th, at least get some points. But yeah, that was my goal. The race ended up being very, very exciting indeed. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. So here we go then, for 53 laps of the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, starting from the back of the grid, and away we go. Now, I have decided to go on to a two-stop strategy for this race, as I do think it'll be good for cutting through the field, and also, I don't particularly like driving on this track on worn tyres. I just think it's quite difficult to hold grip around some of the long corners. Now straight away into turn 1, as you can see ahead of me, we've got the Williams, Alpha and the Haas all going 3 wide, and I capitalise on Orbit Kubica being slow off of turn 1 as I overtake and run the outside of the S's, and then up to the hairpin on lap 1 I shoot myself at the inside of the Haas and the Alpha, just about get alongside the Toro Rosso on the exit as well, so that's 2 positions in 1 corner. Pretty good, pretty brave overtake and no contact as well, so I was pretty proud of that one. And then up to Spoon, I sent up the inside of the Toro Rosso that I managed to pull alongside on the exit of the hairpin and gain another position. So that is 16th straight off the bat, and on lap 1. I'll come on to lap 2, this is further up the grid with Lewis Hamilton driving a Renault. Weird driver choice, I know, but the Renault was actually one of the better cars in my career. Tries to go up the inside of, I think, Max Verstappen and just completely sends himself off the track. Which was good for me, because he is one of my main rivals in my career mode. He's pretty close to me in the championship currently, so yeah, that was pretty good for me. This was quite a brave overtake on Devin Butler in the Haas. It was quite a long way back, there was some wheel-to-wheel contact, but I got away with it. Here, didn't quite get away with it so well. I tried to have a look up the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi and just clipped my front wing. I was a bit hesitant going in. Luckily, no wing damage though. Yeah, I was a bit hesitant going in. And then this is onto lap 3, I think. We're 3 wide, Toro Rosso and the Alpha and me, obviously. I put 2 wheels on the grass and somehow get around the outside nice and cleanly, not doing what Lewis Hamilton did on the previous lap and actually managing to stay on the track. However, after my brave overtake on the Toro Rosso and the Alpha into Degner 2, I just took a little bit too much speed, got a big sideways moment on the gravel and just lost a position to the Alpha. I'm actually quite lucky I didn't lose more than that, because it was quite a big moment on the gravel. Just a bit too much speed through Degner 1, wheels on the grass, couldn't slow it down in time for Degner 2. However, coming up to 130R on the same lap, I managed to get myself up the inside of the Alpha. I was a little bit wide on the exit, all 4 wheels across the Astro, but I didn't actually get a penalty, no contacts, nothing like that, so I got away with that overtake quite nicely. However, as you can see, well, I was getting quite worried at this point, because as you can see, there is quite a big gap up to, I think that's 12th. Daniel Ricciardo driving the Williams, you can just see it as we come out of Spoon here. So I did have some work to do. This is where the field really started to spread out a bit. I mean, Antonio Giovinazzi was actually keeping on the back of my McLaren quite well, which again was worrying me. I wasn't really getting too much closer to the Williams in front of me. So yeah, it did kind of worry me quite a bit. However, after a few laps I managed to catch up to the Williams. I had to have a little lift through 130R to make sure I didn't slam into the back of it, and I tried to go around the outside, coming into the chicane, just tried to put my car in front of him to get the corner exit. However, he just got the better run out of the chicane, and I actually put 2 wheels on the grass once more as we come onto the start-finish straight. Then it's just a drag race towards turn 1 between the McLaren and the Williams, and thankfully I did have, even with the 2 wheels on the grass on the last corner, I did actually get quite a good run towards turn 1, and I managed to swoop around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo in the Williams. Now, this is at the end of the lap. Again, there's a big gap down to 10th place. I'm currently in 11th place right now, so yeah, quite a big gap down to 10th. However, as you can see here, the safety car comes out, which I was quite happy about, because as I said before, the field was spreading out quite a lot, and I was worried that I wouldn't quite have enough pace at this track to catch up. So what I do is I completely miss my braking zone into the chicane somehow, and box for a new set of softs, because these ones were looking a little bit worse for wear at this point. So I hop into the pit lane, get a new set of softs, and then try and catch up to the queue. I come out in 15th, just behind Lewis Hamilton, who had this spin earlier on in the Renault. So I have got a little bit more work to do to get myself back up to where I was. However, I've got fresher tyres, so I should be able to do that quite nicely. So this is the restart, as you can see, and I didn't quite get the best of launches, or restarts, as the Renault slightly pulls away from me at the start-finish line. However, I do keep on the back of Lewis Hamilton as we come up to the hairpin, and I do think about an overtake, and I actually maybe send it a little bit too much up the inside as I give the Toro Rosso ahead of him a little bit of a nudge. I believe that's Alex Albon in front of him. I didn't quite get the move done, as I said, bump the Toro Rosso. I did have, amazingly, a good enough run to get past. Now this is later on in the lap. The Toro Rosso makes quite an aggressive move on the Haas, pushing him off slightly onto the grass there, and I just follow him through. So that was a free position for me, nice and easy free position for me, and this is on the next again lap. Big slipstream train down to 130R. Alex Albon overtakes Antonio Giovinazzi, and I just follow him through. So that's a nice easy overtake once again for me in the McLaren, and now it's just a case of getting past Alex Albon, which I try down into turn 1 here as I get a good run. Down the start finish straight, we're side by side down into turn 1, and as you can see the Williams going past the camera there, and I managed to get past the Toro Rosso. So now it's how we were a few laps ago, just before the safety car. We're trying to catch up to the Williams, and actually quicker than I thought. I caught back up to this big pack of cars where thankfully I should be able to just pick off people and overtake them like I hoped, and I do get up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo in the Williams at the hairpin and make the move work. So yeah, this is exactly what I needed. I needed a safety car to just condense the pack together again, so I could just make good, clean, fast overtakes. This is me in 11th right now. I'm coming up to Pierre Gasly, who's still in the Red Bull, and I just slide myself around the outside of the Red Bull. I've got to admit, that's an overtake I'm extremely proud of. I had the slipstream, this is what I saw, just got the braking perfectly right. There was a McLaren shaped gap on the left hand side that I just slid myself through. And even Jeff liked the overtake, so that's a bonus. Now this is further up the grid. Again, one of my rivals, Sergio Perez, tries to go up the inside of, I think that's Nico Hülkenberg, or not Nico Hülkenberg, Lando Norris, who switched to Renault, and he goes sliding off the track. So, yeah, and he actually comes back on track in front of Antonio Giovinazzi. I don't know if the Alpha got damaged or not. Now the Ferrari made an overtake on my teammate Nico Hülkenberg in the McLaren, and he was slow off 130R, and as a result I was able to mirror the overtake I did on Pierre Gasly a few laps ago, or the previous lap, sorry. This is into the hairpin. Carlos Sainz in the Mercedes just locking up. I was a bit hesitant going to overtake him, didn't quite get the move. We're into 130R, we've got the slipstream Nico Hülkenberg behind us, and I go to try and make the overtake around the outside into the chicane, which I've done the 2 laps previous to this one. However, what makes this overtake slightly different to the 2 previous is I didn't quite get a good enough run to overtake him at first. However, then we come onto the start-finish straight, and we all start slowing down because there's a virtual safety car. The previous safety car, I think I forgot to mention, I believe one of the Haas cars, I think it was Kimi Räikkönen, retired. This one, I'm not entirely sure who it was, but someone else retired. I think it was, actually no, I know, it was Antonio Giovinazzi, and that could have been down to his wing damage that he got from Perez. Anyway, this was further on into the race after the virtual safety car. I'm going around the outside of Lando Norris, which that was a pretty good move. The camera angle doesn't really show it off too well, but that is me into, I think that was 5th position there. So really, the safety car did help a lot for condensing the pack down. And yeah, this is me running around in 5th at the moment. We've got 2 Ferraris, I believe a Mercedes, and a Red Bull ahead of us. Actually, no, we're in P2 now. I apologise. Yeah, we're really doing well at the moment. As you can see, we're in P2. We've not quite pitted yet for mediums. We're going to box this lap, however. So there you go, that was a bit of team radio, just me asking about Vettel. Here, I'm going to the pit lane to get mediums, and I get a big big bit of oversteer coming into the pit lane, just about getting it stopped as well, so that was quite satisfying, holding the slide and then just getting it stopped into the pit lane. As you can see, the pit crew fitting the mediums, and it was a very quick pit stop as well. It was 1.88 seconds, which is not quite world record status, but that is still very quick. Coming out the pit lane, we come out just behind Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, and Max Verstappen, that's the third person I saw spin off at turn 1. The AI really don't like turn 1 apparently. I think Charles tried to go up the inside of Max, and then Max just bounced off him, must have just spun off into the runoff area. As you can see, Valtteri Bottas retiring from the session. However, we don't actually get a safety car for this one, which doesn't really bother me too much because as you can see, I have closed the gap down to Vettel, who stayed out on his soft tyres for longer than I did. He was the only other one to pit during the safety car for soft tyres, so we're on a very similar strategy, me and him, and thankfully I have actually managed to do some good lap times in the time that he's been out for longer. I have really closed the gap, and as you can see, we're going to 130R, just try and get my car alongside, and I make the move work around 130R. Nice clean overtake, no contact, and it was, yeah, a pretty good overtake indeed. And we're up to the podium positions now, thanks to Max Verstappen's spin. I believe we've only got Charles Leclerc and someone else ahead of us. I'm not entirely sure who was in first at this point, I apologise. But I thought this was probably where I was going to be for the rest of the race. I'd probably be fending off Vettel for the final podium position. I mean, I've got from 20th to 3rd on the grid. That's pretty good going if you ask me. So I thought Charles Leclerc seems like he has good pace, so I don't think I'll be catching him anytime soon.
Leclerc ahead, they're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 7 laps old. Their time last lap was a 1:32.1, regaining by around 0.2 per lap.
However, as you just heard, Jeff said that we're gaining, and in fact I go and set a fastest lap there. So I'm on a bit of a roll. I do have good pace, surprisingly enough, because Suzuka isn't quite a track in this game that I'm maybe too familiar with, or I'm that good at. I'm really not good at Suzuka, and as you can see I get a big oversteer moment. That's kind of proving that I'm not the best at Suzuka. However, so far it's been absolutely amazing. I've gone from 20th to 3rd on the grid, and we're actually catching the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. And as you can see here, coming out of 130R, I try and have a look up the inside, but he kind of goes semi-defensive, not really moving to one side, just kind of staying in the middle of the track, and I don't think that's quite the best move from that far back. I just have to wait for the DRS, and then I'm pulled in towards turn 1, towards the Ferrari. We've got a massive slipstream pull, massive DRS pull, and then we are around the outside at turn 1, and we've got 2nd place. And yes, it was Lucas Weber in first place. How could I forget? Yeah, the racing points are quite OP in my career mode. They're just like Mercedes, I guess. So here you can see Vettel, who's on the same kind of strategy as me, actually overtakes Charles Leclerc as well. So I'm not sure what kind of strategy Leclerc's on, but it mustn't be that good if he's already been overtaken by his teammate. But that obviously means that Vettel can now latch onto my slipstream and DRS and keep with me to fight for this 2nd position. Once again, coming out of the S's, I have a big oversteer moment that almost sends me into the wall. It doesn't look that spectacular when I'm watching it back, but when I was doing it, it felt pretty scary going 150 miles an hour sideways, and just take a bit too much speed through Degner too. And all this means that both the Ferraris in fact, are keeping on to me. So this is a little bit of an update of where everyone is. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton and Perez are down in 8th and 9th, my two kind of main rivals. Not doing too well. Gasly, who I overtake a little while ago, is down in 16th, not doing too well, and as you can see, we've got a few DNFs. I believe we had 3 DNFs. Another slight moment over the curve there as we come off of the S's. And yeah, as I say, both the Ferraris keeping with me, which I was quite worried about, because I thought that I could maybe pull past them, but Sebastian Vettel just kept in my DRS and slipstream pretty much every single lap, and as you can see, pull alongside into turn 1 there, just kind of gave up outside the corner. I gave him the room, but he didn't really want to go for it. However, a couple of laps later, Sebastian Vettel has a good run off of the last turn, and he's closer up to me. He has good slipstream, good DRS, and he just shoots his way up the inside. However, I spot a door on the inside of the corner and try and get the cut back as we enter the S's side by side, and I just managed to put my Mclaren in front of the Ferrari and keep 2nd place. That was a bit of a tense moment, I'm not going to lie. However, on the next lap, he shoots past. He has an even better run off of the last corner, and he can get in front of me before we're even at turn 1, so I don't really have the opportunity to shoot my car around the outside or up the inside. So that means at this point I'm just stuck watching the back end of Vettel's car as we come through the S's, and I was quite worried at this point because I thought that all that was keeping Vettel behind me was just my defending, and it wasn't pace. I thought that if he does get in front of me, then he's going to be gone, and I'm going to be way slower than him overall pace-wise. However, as you can see, I'm actually keeping up with him as we come up to Spoon. He goes semi-defensive on the inside. I don't quite commit to the move. I don't really know where else I could go at that point, so I just tucked in behind him and hoped that I could get the slipstream down towards 130R. I take a little bit of a lift as we come in just so I don't bump the back of the Ferrari. This is a pretty good overtaking opportunity to actually destroy the 50-metre braking board. I don't quite get the move on him. I don't think I really got alongside him there. Wasn't quite as an impressive thing as I did to the Red Bull a few laps ago. However, as you can see now, I've got a good run off of the last corner. I've got DRS, slipstream, and I pull to the left hand side to try and go around the outside of him. However, he just goes a little bit off the track. I'm forced to try and make the cutback on the right hand side, and I'm alongside the Ferrari once again. However, Vettel just keeps his car in front of mine, and I can't do anything as we come through the S's. I'm forced to look at the back of the Ferrari once more. Coming up to 130R, as you can see, I had a good slipstream pull once more, and I sort of think about making a move. He locks up, however he doesn't actually lose any time by locking up. He goes once again kind of defensive, doesn't really leave a gap anywhere, so I'm stuck looking at the back of him. However, I'm probably the closest I've been to him while I've been behind him in this DRS zone, so I just can easily overtake him before turn 1 as he did to me a few laps ago, so I don't have to worry about fighting him as we go through the corner. After that, I was running away a little bit in second place. However, Vettel just kept with me, just enough so you could have DRS and slipstream on both the straight leading up to 130R and obviously the start-finish straight as well. And that was worrying me, because as you can see here, he pulled alongside towards 130R and kind of backs out of the move really, and doesn't go for a dive bomb at the chicane or anything like that. It's quite rare that I've seen the guy do anything like that. And yeah, he just kept with me, kept in my DRS, and got up the inside at turn 1 once more. I try and make the cut back as I pull to the right hand side. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between us, but that's racing I suppose. And as you can see, Charles Leclerc has actually caught back up to us as we've been battling. He's kind of in this battle now, as we're still side by side through the S's, and I just managed to get my McLaren in front and make the overtake work, which was, yeah, it was quite scary. Something else that was quite scary is I had a massive oversteer moment. This is probably the biggest oversteer moment I had in the whole race. At the top of the S is very nearly going into the wall after my side-by-side journey with Sebastian Vettel through the S's. But we're coming towards the end of the race now. Sebastian Vettel is still close to the back of my McLaren, and actually Lando Norris in the Renault is closing into this battle as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he can gain any positions. Vettel pulls to the right hand side once more and kind of backs out of it as I turn to the right hand side. Thankfully he doesn't get up the inside and I can maintain my second place. I have just good enough of a run to outrun him into the S's and keep my car ahead of him, but it is quite the train we've got behind us now. As I said before, Lando Norris has joined onto this battle, Charles Leclerc is behind, and I seemed quite quick in sort of sector 2 of the track. However, sector 1, Sebastian Vettel usually kept with me, and especially sector 3 as well. However, as you can see, we're ending the race now, coming up to the end of the last lap, obviously, and amazingly, although it was a close finish, Sebastian Vettel just behind me there, I managed to get second place from 20th on the grid. That's probably my best ever drive I've done in the F1 career mode. And also this race was the race that Lucas Weber in the Racing Point won the championship. He ran away with it. He's got like 300 and something points, and I believe second place, which I think is Charles Leclerc, has just like 200 points or 190. So yeah, he's quite OP.
Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
I have to give it to Power. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
So there you are. I quite rightfully, I think, got driver of the day after a race where I went from completely last on the grid, 20th place, to second. I think the first safety car definitely helped in that. The virtual safety car didn't really do anything as it all slows us down, doesn't really bunch us up together too much. But yeah, I reckon without that first safety car, I would have maybe just about gotten into the points. I would have struggled to catch everyone up as they were all spreading out. And Suzuka, as I said before, isn't a track that I'm particularly familiar with on this game. I mean, I had the difficulty set on 102, which is usually higher than I have it, So yeah, apparently I'm good at the track, I'm just not that consistent, because I did make a few mistakes, but I still managed to get second. Made some good overtakes. I think I'm probably most proud of the one I did on Pure Gasly. I ran the outside after 130R. So yeah, bit of a different video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already to my channel. And yeah, maybe let me know if you want to see more F1 career mode stuff. Yeah, because this video was pretty fun to film and edit together. So yeah, until the next video, goodbye.